Well, we did miss a week, but never fear. Like Jesus, we are back. Episode 8 of This Week in Sports History. I'm your host, Justin Wood. With you, as always, my co-host, Patrick Keene. How you doing tonight, Patrick?
Good, buddy. Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Congratulations. Are congratulations in order? Or?
Yeah, actually, that's why we weren't here last week. As you guys can see, I purchased a house. This is not a virtual background at all. It's the house that I got after we hit the magic number of 32. And I might have jumped the gun a little bit, but I do think that after 32 subscribers, it's time to buy a house. So
yeah, that is beautiful. And is that a baby grand? Is that part of your self covenant?
Yeah, we were working pretty hard and I needed a mental health break. So my therapist recommended I take up piano. So
Okay.
I'm doing that. I'm actually really good. And maybe on the 28th episode, I can play you guys a number. So
I can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, we were both busy last week. So here we are. It was a funny gag to me when I thought of it today. But how you been? How's everything
Good, man.
going?
Good. I was in San Luis Obispo this last weekend. Did a show at a couple wineries. I don't know if you've done that festival. It's usually in February, and then from there you get booked throughout gigs.
Yeah, I see his flyers all the time. So, and I take it they're fun shows up there.
Yeah, really fun, and it's just a great weekend getaway. It's obviously 3.5, 4 hours away, and then you just kind of lose yourself there. And it's so green right now, and Paso Robles is fantastic. Morro Bay is wonderful. I would recommend it to anybody.
Nice. I bartended a fashion show over the weekend at Senator Jones, where we did that comedy show.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, they had like some pop-up fashion show there, and I was like, sure, I'll take a couple bucks, I'll work it. And Sugar Shane Mosley was there, so
no way. Wow.
I got to meet him and have a few drinks with him. And
yeah, right on. Did you get a picture with him? I don't remember seeing anything over the past.
Yeah. I posted it. Yeah. So
okay, I'll take a look.
You can tell, and looking at his eyes, you're like, oh yeah, you guys have had some drinks tonight.
Wow, that's beautiful. Okay.
So, but super, super nice guy. So yeah, that's basically, that was my weekend. So the Monday through Friday, and then just did that. So
nice, man. Well, that's a good way to spend the weekend. If you're not performing, that's the next best thing is
yeah,
being able to drink with people like that.
Absolutely. So yeah, 2 weeks in a row. We missed last week. So for the fact checkers, before you get on here and start, being little know-it-all debaters, we know that we're 1 week behind, but we want to give you guys that week in sports history. So bear with us. We'll get caught up soon. We might give you guys 2 episodes one of these weeks if you're lucky. So maybe that'll be the gift when we get 40 subscribers. We'll give you guys a 2-episode week. So let's just jump into it, Pat Keene. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
All right. 1976. The Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Utah Jazz 110-101 in New Orleans to clinch club's first ever playoff berth.
Nice. Well, that's the Cavs. I tell you, anything beating the Jazz is good.
Yes.
I just feel like, like when Michael Jordan and the Bulls took them on for 2 straight years in the late 90s, it was kind of like anticlimactic. We wanted kind of the Rockets with Barkley and Hakeem, but people liked seeing the Jazz get beaten. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because it's a mismatch with mascot and city.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
Yeah. Because it used to be the New Orleans Jazz.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, and so they kind of should have left the Jazz name there. I think a Utah Pelican makes more sense than a Utah Jazz.
Yeah, but I was going to ask. You're a little smarter than me on a lot of things. So, do you know if a Pelican in New Orleans is that a?
Yeah, it's indigenous. Yeah, I don't know if you ever saw Pelican Brief. It was one of John Grisham's books. but it was all about some, I don't know, some senator. I don't know if it was oil. Anyway, it took place in New Orleans. It's called the Pelican Brief. There were a lot of pelicans. Let's leave it at that for now. But how long were the Cavaliers in town in existence before they won their first playoff?
It's probably something I should have looked into.
Well,
I'm willing to bet, since it was on the website, that it had been a while.
Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, that's because that's a city that was probably around from the early days. That's not an expansion.
No.
Town. Cleveland Cavaliers. Okay.
But no, that is just like, we talk about, even having Johnny on last episode, just how deprived that town has been.
Oh, right.
So
no, it looks like they started in 1970. So
okay, so that's not terrible.
Not too long, but I guess it had been a long time since the Indians had won, and maybe a long time since the Browns had been good.
Yeah.
Jim Brown retiring in, I think, 64, 65 was rough because he had some years left.
It was like a Barry Sanders type deal.
It was, yeah.
Absolutely. But no, I just was thinking about all those Cavs teams that, until, obviously when LeBron got there, the whole dynamic of Cleveland basketball changed. But I remember, growing up when they had Mark Price, Craig Elo, Brad Doherty, Larry Nance, like Hot Rod Williams. It was just a team of role players. They never had like that one player, except Mark Price was pretty, but probably just because I lived in Ohio. So I held him to I put him on a higher bracket, but I don't think Mark Price was as valuable to the rest of the country as he was Ohio. Right. I remember, that was our guy.
Yeah. And did you guys have, damn it, who else was it? You didn't have Ron Harper, did you?
We did have Ron Harper for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before he went to Chicago and won a bunch of championships.
Yeah. Yeah, and then he went with Phil to the Lakers and he snuck one or two more in there. It's wild. And then I'm thinking of another Cavalier back then. God. Oh, Hornacek? No, Hornacek was Jazz. And
he was Utah.
Phoenix. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he was Utah with John Stockton.
That's right.
It was like Hornacek and Stockton against Elo and Price was.
Yeah, that's a lot of white. That's way too much white.
It's a slow break basketball fantasy right there.
That's too much. Yeah. No, man, we don't need diversity hires in the NBA. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But yeah, I just remember, we can even fast forward it to the year that, LeBron goes back and wins the championship and wins, brings Cleveland their first title. And actually, you could even go before that. I like living in Ohio when LeBron decided to go to Miami. It was just one of those moments in life that you always remember where you were, because I remember we knew he was announcing that night, and it was about a half hour beforehand. And I remember I was with a group of Cavalier fans. We're all sitting around watching the television, and I remember it was like a half hour. Somehow it pretty much got leaked, like a half hour. They're like, LeBron to go to Miami, and there's no way he's going to do it. There's no way. And then just the whole history of that, his first game back. I had a friend that went, and he was like, man, it was brutal in there. People throwing batteries and stuff, whatever they could get down to the court. They had to take LeBron off the court to get that place under control. But
yeah, not fun at all. And not fun at all.
And then yeah, go ahead.
And people knew it was coming. Yeah, I mean, they knew LeBron was going to leave, and it was just a matter of which team. I remember, didn't they hold a press conference?
Yeah, and he did it for the Boys and Girls Club of Miami or of Cleveland or something. It was
that must have been brutal for Cleveland.
Oh yeah, who's the one comedian? Chad Zumach. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
There's like
Chad. Yeah,
that viral video of him going around like outside of a bar burning his LeBron jersey. And then it showed their true colors when, 4 years later he decides to come back. And they're all like, please, we love you. We miss you, LeBron. Then he wins the championship. And then now he leaves again. And now people in Cleveland hate him again. I'm like, guys, that man deserves a statue outside of like.
Because how many titles he won one, but didn't he take him to like 3 or 4 NBA finals?
Yeah, LeBron. Correct. I'm pretty sure I'm right. I believe he played in 8 straight finals.
Unreal.
Which was insane. I think he's been in 10 total or something and won 8 straight.
And it's not like the one that they won was easy. I mean, they had to come back from 3-1 against the Warriors, who are a dynasty. I mean, it's like the one they picked was like the hardest journey.
Yeah. And then, and then the Warriors went out and got Kevin Durant, and then it was just like,
that ruined basketball for everyone. I was in Miami when LeBron came back to Cleveland the day that was announced.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I was just getting off a cruise ship, and they were pretty upset.
Yeah.
They were pretty upset, but not nearly. I can't imagine the gutting that took place twice in Cleveland.
Yeah.
But in Miami, it was like, I mean, again, they knew it was coming, but it was like, I don't know if stuff was being spray painted. I feel like the basketball arena, because the basketball arena is not far from the docks. I just gotten off a cruise ship. I feel like there might have been some graffiti.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And then when he won the championship, they were like, hey, he can do whatever he wants now. You know what? He's a man of his word. He came back. Whatever he does, we're going to support him. And then when he said, hey, I'm going to go to LA, like, no more than 24 hours, they're ripping the banner down. They're like, now they all hate him again. It's like, man. Come on. It just tells you the power of sports. Like, it makes you so emotional.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's mastered like the off season and the pacing and I don't know, just really shaped their own career like he has in terms of like what's that player fatigue or whatever they were player management or fatigue management or something.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
These guys spend what is it 1, 2, 3 7 figures on their bodies. You know what I mean? They're spending more than $1 million a year on just diet, food, exercise. Like, $1 million automatically goes to that load management. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's just, I don't know that anybody will play this long.
No. And
at this level.
Yeah. And we've talked about him quite a bit on this.
Yeah. Show. Yeah. This is a LeBron heavy podcast.
Yeah. I mean, he just, when you've played for so long, there's so many different categories you fall under, but he's not the easiest guy to defend. Like he is kind of cringy at moments. You're like, oh my God, like stop it.
Yeah. I mean, he could play wide receiver. He could play tight end. He could be an outside linebacker or a DB in the NFL.
Yeah. So, all right. We gotta keep it even here. If we talk about LeBron, this week in 1994, the Chicago White Sox assigned former NBA superstar Michael Jordan to the Birmingham Barons of Class AA Southern League. And needless to say, he returned to the NBA one season later. But,
right.
But do you remember that? I mean, of course you remember, but that was a nut like.
That just seems so lunatic. But the power to be able to just go play a second professional sport. There was so much going on with the White Sox.
Yeah.
Right around then. I remember they won the division in 93.
Yeah.
Right? Or was it the fall of 93. They won their division. They had to battle the Blue Jays for the ALCS.
Yeah.
And there was also a baseball strike the following year. No World Series in 94. And I believe the White Sox right around then did they have late stage Bo Jackson?
I believe so.
Or is he gone by then? He must have been gone by then.
He might have been gone because that was my beloved Bengals and I believe that was early 90s when that all
1990, happened. I think they did that.
Yeah. But was that Frank Thomas?
Yeah, I think, it must have been. Yeah.
I think, Frank Thomas was there before he was in the Viagra commercials. But yeah, I just remember Birmingham, people wearing Birmingham Baron jerseys.
So the biggest athlete in the world goes to play for the Birmingham Barons.
Yeah, and they were, I remember tickets to the game. I believe they came to Columbus to play the Clippers. And I'm getting double A and triple. They came for something. They came to play one of the Ohio teams. And I remember there was, it was insane. There was a ticket raffle almost to tickets sold out right away. And these are double A games where usually there's not even a cover charge. They're just trying to get anybody in these seats. And now all of a sudden you have arguably the greatest basketball player in the world who decides, I'm going to play professional baseball.
I don't even know. I was in Japan. I went to school in Japan the fall of '93.
Yeah.
And for 2 years. And so Jordan's whole time in professional baseball, I was in Japan. So your world is already upside down.
Oh yeah.
Living in that country, especially. And then Jordan's retired and playing baseball. I'm like, what is going on? Are the newspapers right? Do they have this right? Because, there's no real internet yet. I mean,
yeah.
Kind of, but
yeah.
And then, I think I mentioned it that I had a student because I was teaching part-time and one of my students cried. She was a Japanese girl. She cried when she found out Jordan retired and she couldn't believe it. And it's just so funny. I mean, the strike was in 94.
Yeah.
Baseball strike.
Well, 95. That's actually coming up next.
Oh, okay. I'll wait for that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but the Birmingham Barons, I mean, so Jordan was rooming with these guys or what? Was he paying? I remember he was kind of paying for, he's like, oh, I'll get us new uniforms or I'll get us.
Yeah, I believe so.
All new cleats or something or a new bus.
I need to go back and watch it, but ESPN did one of their 30 for 30s on that season. And, Jordan, I forget, Jordan takes the field or something. But it was just funny because as much as people were he's only on the team because he's Michael Jordan, there were still a couple home runs hit. He had his moments where it was oh, okay. I mean, it's still Michael Jordan. I mean, look at him in golf. He's just one of those. He's just.
How is he at golf? I don't know.
He's good.
Is he?
I want to say, I mean, it's a single digit. I believe below 5 handicap.
I know they make fun of Barkley a lot.
Oh yeah,
as a golfer.
And Barkley went to a swinging coach, and just all of a sudden did one of those celebrity golf tournaments and did great. He paid because he had that little stutter in his swing, and now he could go full way through. And he's decent. I mean, he beat me pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay. But I was actually a funny Jordan story. I was at a golf course in Prescott, Arizona, and the professional at the time at the course was a professional from Chicago that was on the PGA Tour for a little bit. And he was super, super nice guy. He taught me, he taught me how to swing and everything. First pro I ever worked with. And he told me that Jordan was a member of the club that he came from in Chicago. And he said one day Jordan was like, I need you to play 18 with me and help me out. So he's like, it's Michael Jordan, obviously.
Yeah.
I got to do this on his wife's birthday. And his wife, she understood. She was like, hey, we're having a party, though. So once you're done, I need you to get home.
Oh, boy.
So they finished 18. Jordan's like, I want to play another 18. And he's like, Mike, it's my wife's birthday. I gotta get home. Jordan pulls out a wad of hundreds. And he's like, how much to get you to go around one more time? And he's like, I'm going to be in the doghouse, but I can't say no to this. So
right.
They go around again. his wife is calling the clubhouse
Oh yeah.
because this is before I think like right before cell phones.
Okay.
And she's like, "Where is he?" And they're like, "He's still on the course with Michael." And she's like, "Can you go get him for me?" So they send a cat, like one of the clubhouse attendants, and he's like, "No, no, 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 no. Like, just tell her he's fine. He'll be home." So, the guy's like, "I'm in the doghouse. Like, I can't believe, like,
Yeah.
So they finally finish, and Mike's like, "I owe you." And he was like, "Yeah, don't mention it." Like, and he's in a hurry to get home. Mike's like, "I'll follow you." So Jordan followed him back to his wife's birthday party. He comes in and introduces himself to everybody at the party, like talking to so his wife goes from like really pissed to, "Oh my God, Michael Jordan's at my birthday party." Like
that is really cool. And it's worth it. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
So he was like, when he was telling me the story, he was just like, yeah, he's like, the guy, he loves golf. He's real competitive, like always wants to gamble on it.
So the guy that did this told you this story?
Yeah.
Oh my God, man. That is so cool. It's so specific too. It's true.
Yeah. Oh,
There's no
yeah.
reason to lie about that.
Oh,
yeah.
for sure. And he was just telling me, like, because I was taking a lesson with him, and I was like, because he told me, he was like, "Yeah, I've golfed with Michael Jordan." I was like, "Oh, how is that?" And he's like, "Actually, all right, I got a funny story for you." And he told me the story, and it was just listening to him tell it was even funnier because you could just see like he was reflecting about, he knew he was in the doghouse when.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. It's like, well, whatever money he gives me, it's going toward a gift for my wife. So it doesn't matter how
and much. I believe he said something along those lines too. He was like, "I knew when I got that money, like maybe she won't be as mad because I'm coming home with this much more money."
Right.
But
and look, honey, it's like one of three. Like you got him, you got Muhammad Ali, Joe Montana, Tom Brady, Tiger Woods. There's like, well, I guess there's 5 or 7, but
yeah, but
Come on.
I mean, it's now a story. Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember you're at my birthday party, Michael Jordan showed up.
Right.
So
I got Michael Jordan to come to you, babe.
Yeah. So not only a great baseball player, but hell of a conniving, is that the word?
Shrewd.
Golfer on the course.
Shrewd.
Yeah. So, all right. Like I said, in 1995, Pat Keene, the longest strike in American Major League sports history, 232 days, ends as the MLB owners accept players' offers to return to work without a contract. MLB is first major pro sports league to lose an entire postseason due to labor struggles.
Wow. I remember it very well. I don't think, would it ever happen in football? I can't imagine. This country would lose its mind.
Yeah.
It was a bummer. I think it was really bottoming out, baseball, because they came back from that and started doing the wild card. Is that right? Did that come right after?
Yeah, I believe so.
Which really helped.
Yeah.
Because it was pretty outdated. You had 2 divisions from each league that would play either a 5-game series or a 7-game series. I mean, you could win 3 games, postseason games, and you were in the World Series.
Right.
Nuts. And then they extended it, and that wild card really opened it up. And then Colorado had a team that was fun. Florida got a couple teams, and So I was living in Japan around that time, and the year that we didn't have Major League Baseball playoffs, the Tokyo Giants won their series, won the Japan series.
Oh, wow.
And everybody was like, "Oh, we're the world champions," because there's no MLB. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, for sure.
And the Tokyo Giants are like the New York Yankees over there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Fun. And with the same uniforms as the Giants here. And they had an old Dan Gladden from the Minnesota Twins. And they had Shane Mack, who was he a twin? Dan Gladden was a twin and a Tiger. I think Shane Mack was a twin. And they had a young Matsui. Matsui was like 18 years old.
Yeah. Wow.
And he was just a babe. He was right out of high school.
I remember it was like I was really into baseball, and then the strike happened, and then for some reason it just like I just went to the NBA. Like, and this is now I mean, I obviously admit NFL like trumps everything for me.
Yeah.
But I just remember like the love of baseball going. Like I just recently started watching baseball again, like since the mid '90s. Like I'd go to a game here and there, like going to games. I'd go to hockey games. I
Sure.
can't tell you 5 players in the NHL, but I just remember like it just seemed that baseball ended right there. Like it was such. I wouldn't say that's when it lost its America's game, but that it was just like it was really popular right before that too. Like it was, I mean, it still is to a lot of people,
Yeah.
but I was just one person that, man, when that strike happened, I was just like, I didn't know why. I didn't understand. Like I was still like young enough to not
Sure.
really understand the labor struggles, whatever that meant. But I was just like, damn. Like I just remember not really liking baseball anymore, like from that moment.
Yeah, it ruined it for a lot of people. It's like, what are you guys aren't even the most exciting sport.
Yeah.
Kind of. I mean,
Yeah.
I say that, but it's the most entertaining. Like, if you're doing a comedy movie, baseball is the sport to do
For sure.
because there's just so much downtime. There's so many rules. There's average looking guys that can be great. So that
Yeah.
opens it up. Hockey and baseball, I'd say, is the best. Basketball, football, you biologically have to look a certain way. I mean, that's like, will the viewer buy them, believe that they're a professional athlete of that sport? But I mean, you look at the baseball movies. I mean, Bad News Bears, so funny.
Yeah.
Major League, so funny. Bull Durham, so
Best.
funny. The Natural, great drama.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's other baseball movies, but yeah, that was really a bummer. And so they needed to sex it up, which they did with the wild card teams, because you were coming off 2 straight Blue Jays victories
Yeah, I
going
believe
into the
so.
strike. So 92, 93. And then your Reds swept in 90.
Yeah.
Were you just a kid when that happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know if I told you the story about this, but I was actually an A's fan. The only A's fan of my school. So during the World Series, Jose Canseco, like I got an autographed jersey behind me of Jose Canseco. Like that was always my boyhood hero. And even today, like I still love Jose Canseco for some reason. But when the Reds beat them, it was make fun of Justin the rest of the school year. Like it was like everyone versus me
because it was a sweep.
Yeah. And I was
that's like Barry Larkin and Eric Davis and those guys.
Yeah, Chris Sabo.
Chris Sabo. And Lou Piniella, of course. Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah. And Paul O'Neill, I believe, before he went to the
O'Neill.
My brother was a huge Paul O'Neill fan. Like that was his guy.
Yeah. God, they had a team.
Yeah. And I mean, swept them.
So we come out of the strike, and then the Braves, who have been kind of knocking on the door, finally win one. And then all of a sudden,
I jumped on that bandwagon quick.
Did you on the Braves?
Because I like Deion Sanders. I was like, I like Deion, and their pitching staff was like Maddox. It was
not Rock. Well, Rocker was there, but Glavin, and who's the one that does the announcing now? Smoltz.
Yeah, Smoltz is on there. Dave Justice was on that team. So I tried to get back into it, but it was just and I don't know. Maybe it's because of my career now, or I don't know. Maybe baseball. I mean, we were gonna do this last week, so I was going to talk. Lead this into opening day this week. But I don't know. Maybe baseball is getting a little more popular, or maybe it's just personal for me because my day job, we work with a lot of the Dodgers, so I've gotten to meet like some really cool people through this. But I don't know, or maybe it's the fact that they got Ohtani now, and
that's fine.
But
and it makes sense for him to be in LA. I think just like Japanese, we have such a huge Japanese population in SoCal, especially LA.
Yeah,
the Dodgers are interesting. They have this old school kind of legacy, and they were always the first to sign. They were first to sign Nomo. So they were the first to sign a Japanese player. They go back to Jackie Robinson in 47. First to sign a black player, and then Fernando in 81. And so they do these groundbreaking things. But they do have the fan base can be a little thuggish.
They are the worst. Like the events that I've worked, like we've done autograph signings.
Yeah.
And it is like the fans are just absolutely terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been harassed and I was rooting for the Dodgers, It's just like, why am I being harassed,
Yeah. And then I saw, I don't know if you saw it. There's a beautiful, from the concession stands, I believe in Petco Park, that's San Diego.
Yeah.
The Giants in San Diego had a nice little fans versus fans.
Oh, did they? They had a little battle this past weekend? Oh, that's great. I'll look it up. I'll look it up.
And our buddies over at the Sports Gambling Podcast, they like put a tweet up. They're like, "Sports are back, baby," and it's just these people, just everyone getting knocked out. Like it's
Prano and those guys.
No, do you know Sean Green?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
His podcast. Okay. They have the Sports Gambling Podcast. So,
oh, that's great.
They're another one. They want to do we've talked about doing a what's it called, a hybrid episode where we just bring the whole gang together. So
that'd be amazing. Yeah, I love Sean. He's a great dude, great comic. Yeah.
Prano and those boys, they're getting fancy and they went behind a paywall.
Oh, did they? Oh, wow, very interesting. Okay.
Yeah, listen. Okay. Can't do that with 32 subscribers.
yeah, we're a little ways off there.
We're more for the people though. We're more for the people here at This Week in Sports History.
So funny. So wow, the Reds, and so it's been a while for the Reds then, I guess.
Since and I mean they're on fire right now because of that Ellie De La Cruz. Like
he's a beast.
Yeah, and I like. That town is so much fun when there's something going on. Like when there's a good sports team. I mean, the Bengals have like just Joe Burrow especially has just like turned that whole way of life in Cincinnati around. Like it's such a sports driven city.
Yeah.
That I mean
it really is. It's right on the river. It's a gateway. I know it's the Queen of the West, Queen City or something.
Yeah, Queen City.
Queen City, that's right. St. Louis Gateway of the West, but Cincinnati's the Queen City. Yeah. I mean, it's right on the river. It introduced you to the South. It's a great. The Reds have such a great history. So many classic World Series.
It's one of those cities where the stadiums are just right next to each other.
Yeah.
Like you're driving over the bridge, and at nighttime you can see both stadiums lit up, and it's just when there's something good happening in sports, Cincinnati is the place to be.
Yeah.
And I mean, even as a comedian, I'm sure you've done the room before. Like Go Bananas is one of my favorite comedy clubs.
It's phenomenal. Like, I love that club.
And it's funny because you tell people that haven't done it, and you get, oh, you're just saying that because you're from Ohio. Like you haven't done many clubs besides Go Bananas. I'm like, no, you can ask almost any comedian that isn't doing theaters or arenas. Go Bananas is a really fun club.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's a great. I've always loved that club. I went there with Henry Phillips and Mike McRae in 2005. So that was the year the Bengals won the division. They were still trying to get past the Steelers.
Yeah.
And Carson was obviously there, and all our friends were in town to watch his game. And I coincidentally was there that weekend. So we had a bunch of people from SoCal there.
Yeah.
And I had some relatives come down from Toledo. And there was all this talk. We're taking the Steelers tomorrow. We're taking them, man. This is our year. It's a great kind of passing the torch or whatever. But that's not the point. The point of the story, people were like chanting "Uday."
Yeah.
And I didn't know what they were saying. Uday. So I thought they were talking about like, it was the weirdest heckle. I thought that was right around the time of Uday Hussein's, like Saddam Hussein's son was just caught and arrested. And then they have monkeys that like they had pet monkeys that like they watched have sex or something. So I was like, what's this crowd talking about? Uday Hussein. And then the next day, some girl's like, you idiot.
Yeah, no,
Uday is kind of our war cry.
Cincinnati's real big Uday
Bin
Laden fans.
Yeah. I don't think it turns out nothing to do with Iraq, Afghanistan, anything.
Yeah.
But anyway, you're right. I'd love to see them thrive in both sports. They're due.
Yeah. Here's a cool. We'll talk about Uday. We'll get off topic here. I was actually that weekend you're talking about. I was in Iraq.
Are you kidding me? Oh wow,
Yeah, that's when I was deployed,
oh
and
wow, what a
I
coincidence.
woke up at like 4 a.m. and walked to a tent to watch the Bengals and Steelers playoff game. Like I remember that's the game. Palmer went down in the first possession, like shredded
Oh,
his knee.
dude,
Like it was just and
beautiful pass, long
yeah,
pass, complete.
to Chris Henry and Kitna still almost like Kitna. We were never out of the game, but it was
Right.
just like I mean, it happened.
What
But
was it, like 17-6? It was just a weird,
yeah, it was
low
just a
scoring
weird. It was
tight
just a
game.
weird
Yeah.
vibe, like the whole game after the injury. But speaking of Uday, when I was stationed in Baghdad, Saddam was actually being held where I was stationed at. Like this is actually after they caught him,
Right.
and Uday designed their Olympic uniforms.
You gotta be kidding me.
And so since they after they captured him, they were like, we don't want anything, no memories or anything. So I actually had a Olympic, like one of the warm-up uniforms that the athletes, like our translator brought it to me. Like it was one of like the and it fit me like almost like a sweatsuit, like what like during opening ceremonies, like what they're and it was like green with a big Iraqi flag on the back. And this tells you about the town I'm from. When I got home, I never put it in the dryer because I didn't know, like I was afraid it would like shrink or something.
Yeah.
So I hung it on our clothesline, and one of our racist neighbors got a hold of it and like slid it and everything. I'm like, hey, dummy, I'm not saying like
Yeah,
it's
you were
just
over there for Christ's sake.
Yeah, it was a cool piece to own. It wasn't like me saying like I'm not flying an Iraqi flag.
Yeah. Jesus, dude. You were over there for Christ's sake. Like if it's yours, if you've given it the seal of approval, then come on.
Yeah. And like my parents like had the signs out in the front yard, like our son's over there, right? Like the whole neighborhood knew I was over there, but there was still I'm hoping that it was just like a middle school kid or something that just thought he was doing his due service as an American, but no, it was.
I can't believe the Uday Hussein coverage in this episode.
Yeah.
That's so funny, dude.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and I had one of the soccer jerseys too. And it was funny because I'm 6'3". It was like a 5X because of the size difference between because when he handed it to me, I was like, this is gonna be huge on me. And I put it on and it fit me like perfect. I'm like, oh, never mind.
5XX. Jesus, dude.
So, all right, there we did. I never. You never know what's going to be talked about on this show.
No, it's from the hip for sure. Jesus.
Yeah. I got one more sports story and then actually, you know what? Two more sports stories. We're not doing because we missed last week. We're not doing a This Week in Misery. I got like a double one at the end. That's pretty cool. But this came up on the sports history page and I thought it was interesting. In 1996, Howard Stern radio show premieres in Boston, Massachusetts on WBCN 104.1 FM. Not exactly sports, but
yeah. He went to BU, I believe.
Yeah.
New Yorker, Long Islander, I believe, then went to BU. So that was 1996. Okay, that's interesting. 1996 or 86?
I think it's 96. 96 what it says.
Because I remember him premiering out here in LA late 80s, early 90s. Because
so I might be right. It might have been 86.
Because I know he was in Detroit for a second too.
Yeah.
But But there was a show out here. I don't know if you know them, Mark and Brian. Do you know them at all? Mark and Brian was 95.5 KLOS. And they dominated morning radio. And Stern came out and he was on 97.1 KLSX. And I remember thinking, like, who's this Stern guy from New York? He's got the accent. There's no way he's going to usurp Mark and Brian. Mark and Brian were huge guys. They went to USC games. They were fun. They're still fun. I think they have a podcast somewhere.
Okay.
But it's just funny to think like that I was in 18 or 17. I'm like, I don't know about this Howard Stern guy in the Southern California market.
Yeah.
Cut to like a year and a half, 2 years later, and it's just global domination or national domination.
Yeah, I looked it up. Definitely 1985 was his premiere.
85. Okay.
Yeah, but in New York. So maybe they're just saying that's when he premiered in Boston.
In Boston. Okay, I wonder. Yeah, and who knows? Boston, they could be old school guys. They're like, no, we're not letting anybody in our markets.
Yeah,
because those guys are tough, especially to New Yorkers. They'd be like, no, we're not letting this guy in.
But I just think it's funny that, I mean, almost everyone has like listened to Howard Stern for a while. Like I remember going over to Sirius with him when I got back from Iraq in 2005, he was just so much before his time. Like, I remember how, of course, there are like certain things he did on there that you couldn't do on today's radio now, but there's so much of that stuff that was like just so edgy and controversial that it's nothing compared to like what you see on podcasts or what you see on radio shows now. Like he was, he's just such a trailblazer. Like his just so many clips and everything from that show is just so unbelievable.
It was just so refreshing, right? Like you couldn't do that stuff on TV, and he didn't give a rip. And the guests he'd have on, the outrageous interviews. He'd call people out, celebrities. He was just calling them out left and right.
Yeah, I remember. And then I remember they had the movie.
That was Private Parts.
Yeah, and I remember, I was pretty not like young, but I was like a teenager watching that, and then all of a sudden he comes on ETV at night. Like that's when it was
that's right. That's right.
He was everywhere. And
was that late 90s he came on ETV?
Yeah, and it went through like probably early 2000s. Like I remember, because it was back before there was like apps or like really DVR yet, and there was like the on demand. You could go to ETV on demand and just watch like clips of the show. And I just remember, it was nuts. Like somehow like celebrities just really trusted that guy. Like he would get like, I remember he was I think like Stamos and all those guys would just go on there and just, it was like they'd just air it out. Like there was always something. Like he was so good at
pulling, and people wanted to reveal stuff on that show.
Yeah.
I'm like Madonna's and Julia Roberts's and Robin having a black co-host really helped him, because that could thwart a black female.
Yeah.
Could really, then you couldn't go after him for, any type of whatever diversity, lack thereof.
Absolutely.
So that was a great shield for him. Not that that was intentional. I think they have a genuine chemistry.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it was before I really got into a stand-up, but that's where I found Artie Lang at. Was when Artie was on that show. Like I was just like, who is this wild dude?
So good.
And I remember like Artie comes out that he has a heroin problem, like on radio. You didn't hear stuff like that on the radio. Like, so
did you know the comedian that preceded him? Did you know Jackie Martling? You didn't know him, did you?
No. I just from the show, but that was about it.
Well, I'll tell you, if you want to, you talk about Artie, he in like the 77 or 78 World Series, he was just a little kid, and the Yankees beat the Dodgers both back-to-back years. And like one childhood memory he has that's kind of traumatic is he's with his dad at the game, and people are charging the field, and he just throws his son onto the field, and he jumps, and he's like, I'll see you after the game, or I'll see you at home. And Artie's like, what? Like, he's like probably 10 or something at that time, or 15.
Yeah.
And so that's like a World Series memory he has of just being hurled and left by his father.
That's
left
crazy.
for not dead, but left for alive, left for a celebration. It's wild. I remember on 9/11 that morning, I turned to Stern. I turned because I was like at home, saw it on the news, and I had to get to work. So I'm driving to work, and I'm like, oh my God, and all these radio stations are talking about it. And I'm like, I'm going to tune into Stern because Stern was there. He was on 97.1. So you had access to him. I just didn't always listen for whatever reason. I can't believe I'd listen to anything else, especially if I had him for free. But I was like, if this is serious in New York, then he'll give it to us straight. And I turned Stern on the drive in, and he was serious. They were taking phone calls from people like, you all right? You're all right. All right. We got to keep the lines clear. And he was, he was stressing. He was working.
Yeah, I watched it. I've actually watched that before on YouTube. Like it just popped up on one of my recommended. So I don't know what I was watching to get 9/11 recommended videos, but it came up and I watched it, and it was just like, I mean, as good as he is with the controversial stuff, he handled that 9/11 like he did it great. Like it was,
that day was no joke for sure.
And I'll give it to him. There are like, I know people don't like to get political or anything, but he's never been one to shy away from that either. Like he's like, if I lose my following, like I lose my following. Like he knows as many people as he's going to lose, he's going to gain. Like when you're that big, like
and that honesty, I think people respond to that honesty.
Yeah. And I just don't think that, there's, athletes that I don't see eye to eye with them on political beliefs, but I've never been like, oh, I can't cheer for you anymore. Like me and John Daly probably have the complete opposite political views, but I mean, who doesn't like a big fat white dude that drinks and smokes cigarettes while he plays golf?
Oh man. I mean, so refreshing. Him and John Kruk.
Yeah. It's like, hey, that's why I like you. I don't like you because of your political views. I like you because who you are.
Right. I mean, Tony Gwynn got big, like physically big.
Yeah.
It was so fun to see this big guy just get on base every time.
Yeah. So, but all right. Well, like I said, we got a twofer for the very last thing of the night. Speaking of athletes, in 2001, at 15 years and 9 months, American swimmer Michael Phelps breaks a 200-meter butterfly world record at the U.S. World Championship Trials in Austin, Texas, becomes the youngest male to set a world mark. And then this same week in 2007, American super swimmer Michael Phelps smashes his own world record in the 400-meter individual medley at 4 minutes, 6 seconds, 22 seconds to win his record 7th gold medal at the World Championships in Melbourne, Australia.
Watching swimming in the Olympics is kind of funny to me. It's like I don't even know how many events there are. It's like,
me either.
Is there long distance and short distance? Like in track, it's like, okay, they can do 100 or they can do the 800. And I'm like, okay, that's two different styles.
Yeah.
There's hurdles. In swimming, to me, it's just like, okay, go there. All right, go there and back.
How many times?
Go there and back twice. And so I'm just like, if you're the best swimmer there, you're going to be the best in the 200 and 300. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. But
whatever. It's impressive. His body's unbelievable.
For sure.
Yeah.
And Michael Phelps is one of those people that I always use as an example of, like, that's one person that discovered like their actual talent. Like, I just overthink a lot of stuff. I'm like, man, like, what if I would be like an amazing cricket player, like some sport I've never even played, but like come to find out, like I'm a natural at like, shuffling, and I just never knew it. It's like Michael Phelps, luckily, his parents threw him in a pool, or he figured out like at a young age, like, oh, I'm good at this. Like this.
Yeah. And to love it that much and want to be doing it all the time, competing, and just like, not even being phased, not being too hung up on a loss. You're just like right back at it.
Yeah.
And like that was scary to me. If you've ever been in a fight or like you've ever been beating someone in a sport and they just kept coming.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this guy's scaring me because I'm beating the shit out of him.
Yeah. But I just remember it had to have been the 2007, 2008. I remember being in a bar and we were just like all drinking, having fun. Jukebox is on. We're all like, the Olympics are just on in the background.
Sure.
Like Olympic swimming's on. But Michael Phelps got up there. And I remember they muted the jukebox. They turned the sound on the TV. Everyone just like, it was like the Super Bowl or something in there. Like the whole place was just like going nuts. And he won. Like, I think that it might have been when he like got his last gold medal of the Olympics that year. But I remember like everyone was like jumping up and down, cheering, high-fiving each other. And it's like over swimming.
That's how good. Like if you can get people going, like, I mean, Rodney did a pretty good job in Back to School. You know, but yeah, that's pretty great. Michael Phelps. And then there was somebody else with dyed blonde hair who got in trouble, I think, in South America.
Yeah, it just like went over and like was like, did he steal from a gas station?
Yeah, he did something. Yeah,
and there was something like, it was just
something
like, what
shady.
are you
doing? Something shady.
And then I just remember, like, that tells you where we've come as a country. Michael Phelps getting in trouble for doing a bong hit.
Oh, right.
Like everyone thought he was the devil because he took a hit of weed. It's like, oh, this kid in his 20s.
He needs more. He's got strong lungs. You know, hey, let's cut him slack.
Yeah. But I mean, now it's like, you know, you have NFL players and all these other players are like, yeah, half the games I played, I was in so much pain, I just smoked weed. And everyone's like, oh, we're so sorry. How heroic. But Michael Phelps like took a bong rip and they're like, you're the monster. How dare you? You don't represent this country. It's what are we talking about here? So what a week in sports history it was. That was last week. So we'll catch up one of these weeks. But
yeah, I mean, you know, it's the offshoot, right? It's the stories the spin-off stories, the spin-off small talk.
Yeah. So it's our magic 52-minute mark. We did it again. This will be out tonight. So are you anywhere tomorrow, like this weekend?
Well, Wednesday I will be at Molly Bloom's in San Clemente.
Okay.
8:30 show, no cover. And then Friday night I'll be in Tustin at the East 17th Grill. East 17th Bar and Grill. Maddie Ballacher runs that. And then God, I feel like I'm somewhere Saturday, but I don't know.
Nice. No shows for me this weekend. I'm going with Joe Prano, friend of the show, to Tyler Childers, a country music concert. We will
that'll be great, man.
We're going to the Forum for that. So that'll be
I love that. I love that for basketball or for music, that arena.
I've never been to the Forum. It's my first time going.
It's just perfectly shaped. I've seen a few concerts there. Pearl Jam. My voice is still shot from seeing Pearl Jam there 15 years ago.
There you go. Yeah. So it was cool. This guy, to get tickets to his show, what he did because of resellers now, you had to win a raffle to be able to buy a ticket. And you had to be in his fan club to win the raffle. So Joe won, and we are like in the very first row on the second balcony because, I mean, we're at that age where sitting down at concerts is pretty relaxing now.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, like we're done standing like that. You know, that's a young man's game. So we got like the front row of the first, the first balcony up. So we're like right above the stage and beautiful seats, and we got them for like $100 a piece. It was unreal.
Layup.
So, but yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we will see you guys next week.